All right, I'm going to show how to create some video notes that I've been working on, and I've had lots of questions about how I'm creating those. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm not going to show every slide, but I'm going to show how to make 2 of these slides. So these are some of the finished product. So these are the 2 slides I'm going to make today. They're on domain and range. So I'm going to show how I created these and made them interactive. All right, so what you're going to want to do is open up a Google Slides. And the first thing I do is I change the size. So page setup. And I like to make mine actually like a regular sheet of paper. That way I can print them out for students if needed. And so you could do, if you want to do it long ways or up and down, it doesn't matter, but I did 11 by 8.5 inches to make it mimic a sheet of paper. And that way when you go to print this, it will be printed exactly the size of a sheet of paper. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on my background because I don't want it to be plain white. So I've been playing around with the gradients lately. You can just pick one color or you can do a custom. You can even like play around. So I could do light blue for the first color and then it could be moving into like a green. You can do linear. Oh, I kind of like that, but I think maybe I'll do like a red going maybe from like a purple to a red. Okay, I like that. I'm going to do that. All right, done. And actually, I also want to add that to my theme so that the background of every page will look like that. All right, next thing I want to do is I'm trying to create this notebook feel. So I want to get a notebook that I can insert. So I'm going to go to insert image, search the web, and I'm going to look for a notebook, put PNG at the end so that it's a transparent background. So you can see there's lots of different options. Here's the one that I use. So I'm just going to be consistent and I'm going to use that same one. Notice that when this pulls over, it's totally see-through. So you cannot see, it's a little bit hard to read because that purple is coming through. So what I did and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a white rectangle right over where that paper is. And then I'm going to change it and move it to the back. That way I have those grid lines on the front and I have the white behind it. My sizing isn't quite right, so I'm just going to bring that in a little bit. And that looks like it's the exact same size, so that'll work perfectly for what I need. All right, so we're going to be making some notes on domain and range. So I'm going to start by adding my title of what this is called to the top here. So I'm going to put a text box at the top. And I've been using this font. And the topic is domain and range. All right, and I'm going to try to get that looking like it's more in the center. There we go. All right, perfect. So my domain and range notes are started here, and I'm going to, what I want to do is I want to start with this dialog box where my students are going to click, and it's going to take them to a video of me explaining domain and range. It's going to be something that goes along with these examples. So I'm going to insert a text box again. This time I'm going to fill it in with white. This is the other font I've been using. And I've made it red with kind of a thicker background because I want to make sure they see this. Hopefully after the first few weeks of school, they'll be used to this anyway. I'm also going to center that text inside the box. All right, so we've got our heading and then we've got our video that we're asking them to watch first. it a little smaller so it fits. All right. Then if you look back at what I'm trying to create here, I'm going to be creating 2 example boxes. So I'm just going to use the rectangle shape here. And for this part of the notes, I want to make 2 rectangles that are about the same size and filled in white. So there's the first one, and I'm just copying and pasting that. So to create that same rectangle again, I just selected it and then copy pasted. Control C for copy and then Control V for paste. And now my 2 boxes are the same. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and select them both. That's a really awesome feature. You just click one, hold down Shift, and then select the other one, and then I can change them simultaneously. So what I'm doing here is I want to change the font and maybe the size, and I'm going to make it bold. That way, both of these now will have the same font and everything. I'm going to make that up. I'll bump that up to the top. And example 2, you can see the font's the same there. And I'm going to, bump that up to the top also. All right, so my examples for these notes are actually graphs. So I need to get those graphs. Now I've already collected mine. I have them saved on these other slides, so they're easy for me to grab. But if you don't have any that you're ready, to do or whatever, you can go out into Google. You could even try to search in here. Sometimes I find that it's not very conducive to finding actual math examples in the search feature. So I would just go out to Google, and what I was looking for was an example of a discrete and a continuous graph. So the first one, I just search for continuous graph, go to images, and pick one that you like. And when you find one that you like, you can just right click and then copy image. I already have the one that I want to use saved over here, so I'm just going to move that over to my notes. All right, and I may need to adjust the sizing here a little bit. I have plenty of room to do that if I don't feel like I have enough room. So let's move this over. Give myself a little more room here. And I can also size this down, but I really want to make that big enough that my students can see it. Drag these down a little bit. All right, so I'm going to be going through in this example the domain and range. So I just want to write in here basically what the domain and range are. So I'm just going to come back over here to my text, the domain, the range, and then I'm just going to type in the answer here. These are examples that are already worked out, so I'm not leaving this for a student to complete. This is something that I want them to see already worked out. I'm going to enter a special character here to get the less than and greater than sign, and just put in my answer there. And I also have been highlighting kind of that final answer so they know what the answer is. Some problems that I've been putting in my notes obviously have multiple steps, but this is just a single step, so I'll just highlight the answer there right away. I think that might be -5 actually. That graph is a bit hard to see. Yeah, -5. All right, good. So, and then I also am going to put here just what that means for them. Because again, this is just their first introduction. So I want to write that means that X can be any value greater than -5 and less than or equal to 4. All right, now I'm going to do my range. So we've got -2. And I need to insert that same symbol again. So I'm going to go to insert special character. I'm looking for a less than or equal to. There it is. And now and the max is 3. So again, I want to highlight that answer so they know what the answer is. And I'm going to also write kind of an explanation of what that means. So y can be any value greater than -2 and less than or equal to 3. All right, and since that's so close, I'm just going to bring this down a little bit more there. And I like to make, if you want to change the color of your example box, I'm going to change mine to red. I just feel like it stands out a little bit more than the black does. All right, I'm ready to move on to example 2. So again, if you need to get an example out in the world, you can go find a Google image, or maybe you have an image from your textbook or from some resource you already have on your computer. I just need an example of a discrete graph, but I already have one saved here that I just got from Google. All right, so I'm going to bring that over here. Looks like that sizing has been changed. So I'm just going to make it look a little less weird. And then I'm going to, again, put in the domain and range. I want them to see the difference between how a continuous graph domain is written and how a discrete graph domain is written. So put in my answers here. And then my range. All right, and then I also want to give an explanation of what this domain and range represents, but I'm not going to write it over here because it's like too many words, and these two things are the same. So what I am going to do, and this is a feature I've been using a lot in these notes, is I'm going to stick a little, like a text, like a little chat box there, and I'm going to use that to give some information about this. So here's what that looks like. I'm going to insert a shape call out, and I'm going to use this little dialog box here. And then I'm going to drag this over so that it's pointing at what I'm talking about. And I'm going to change my background to a different color. All right, so then in here, what I want to do is I'm just going to write kind of an explanation. If I was teaching this in class, what would I want to say about this? So what I want to say about this is, because the data is discrete, only the given values are in the domain and range, and not the values in between. And then if I need to adjust that a little bit, so it's all visible. So that's my little, just a little way that I show and give a little further detail on some specifics within the notes. All right, if there's anything you want more obvious, you can obviously bold it. You can underline, you can change colors. That's one nice thing here, is that since I'm not printing something out, I can change the color. All right, so we're about halfway down to this page. The other thing I want to put on this page is I'm going to ask them to determine the domain and range for some different relationships. So it's going to be kind of like a self-check, a practice for them. And so this is what it's going to look like. So we're going to have some directions and then 3 examples. So I'm going to start by putting my directions in. So I'm going to insert a text box again. And I'm going to fill that in with a blue color. I just want it to be kind of obvious that we're moving on to a different section here. Move things out of your way as needed. Get my font the way I want it, and then give some directions. So the directions are going to be determine the domain and range for each relation, then determine if the relation is a function. Write your answers on a separate sheet of paper. Check your answers when you are finished. All right, so I've got the directions there, and I'm going to put 3 sample problems down below. So again, if you have something that you want to draw from, if you have a worksheet or your textbook that you want to just snip some examples, that's fine. You can also go look for some examples, just on Google. That's what I did. I just found some examples. I already have my examples saved over here. So I'm going to go ahead and I already used that. I'm just going to select these. I'm going to use the select feature, which is shift. Holding down the shift button, I can select and move all three of those at the same time. And even drag. I could even drag them all down together if I leave them grouped. Oh my goodness. Well, you're supposed to be able to. There we go. Had to drag in the right spot. All right, it's a little bit too big for the space that I have. So I'm just gonna slightly move those. Great, perfect. So I already have the directions there. I have my 3 examples, and now I just need to put a place where they can go to check their answer. So I like to use a little dialogue, a little tiny, like a button sort of. So I'm just gonna put a small button here at the bottom. I'm gonna color it in. I like to color it in red so it's very obvious. And it's going to say, check your answers. I'm gonna make that bold. All right, perfect. So that way, when they are finished, they can go ahead and click that and get their answers checked. All right, one more thing I want to do on this page is I want to make it so that when a student's working on this page, they can't move all this stuff around. Right now, all this stuff is very movable, and that can make it kind of confusing if they you saw me accidentally drag this when I didn't really mean to, and I don't really want students to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my check your answers button over here. Anything that I need to actually be workable, I'm going to remove, and everything else I'm going to leave here. So because I want this to actually be like a button they can press, that's why I'm removing it. Okay, and I'm going to remove this one as well because I want that to actually be a functioning link. But everything else is really just a picture. So I'm going to convert this entire thing into one background image. And the way you do that is you go to File, Download PNG. So what that's going to do is it's going to download that slide as an image file. And then when I go here, I'm just opening up a new slide. I'm in the same document. I'm going to go to background, and this time I'm going to choose an image. I'm going to upload, and I'm going to go to downloads. Here's the download from today. So I'm putting in as the background that thing I just created. And you can see now nothing happens. None of this stuff slides around. It's all just one picture. Okay. I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to grab my 2 boxes that I needed to be interactive because I didn't want those to be on the background. I wanted those to actually be functioning. So what I'm going to do here is bring those back over, and now I can go ahead and add my link here. I don't have a video created yet. When I have a video that I want to link, I'll just select that and hit insert link, and I'll put the link in. But this one I already have an answer page ready to link. So I am going to go ahead and insert a link there. So let me go get that. So this is my domain and range. Check your answers. This is where I have the answers written here. I still need to add whether or not. Okay, I still need to add whether or not it's a function. So I'm going to do that real quick here. Function, yes. Function, yes. Function, yes. They were all functions. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab a link here. Anyone on the internet can view this link, copy, and then I'm going to go back to my little box here. So I've selected check your answers, and I'm going to insert a link, and I'm just going to paste that link right there. So now when my students are looking at the slide, they'll be able to click here and go check their answers. All right, I'm going to stop the video here and create a second video to show the creation of the second page, just so it's not super long. So I'll link both of those.